is the myth, the ghost, the specter, that fear is the thing we have to worry about. I think that the least common denominator of what I'm going to say tonight may be summed up in one word, and that's gratitude. You know, all of us tend to think linearly, do we not? We talk about our lives from January through December, our weeks from Monday through Sunday, our work from 8 to 5, unless you like the song. I don't know that song, but anyway. I would like to ask you to please think with me about the notion that life is not linear. Life is a beautiful spiral. Life is an ascending spiral. And you get to choose whether you ride the spiral up or whether you ride the spiral down. Now, if you're a fearmonger, you like to think about the spiral going down, you know. The whole world's just turning to, and we keep thinking that, we hear it. If you read the newspaper, if you listen to TV and radio, everybody is a doomsayer. The sky is always falling. Well, I'd like to invite your thinking to the notion that we can have independence from that kind of monkey on our back. We can have independence from that with a positive approach to life. Now, my comments are summarized in 2 C's and 2 E's. I would like you to think with me about confidence and commitment, and 2 E's, empathy and enthusiasm. Okay? Let's start with confidence. You know, we worry about poverty these days, particularly in Valencia County. Let's face it, it's a real problem, a real concern for us all. But I wonder how often we recognize the poverty of self-esteem. If someone else spoke to you about the way you speak to yourself, you'd beat them up. We are not very nice to ourselves. Every time we stub our toe, we say, "Oh, stupid," or some other similar thing. Expletive deleted, you know. But I really believe that if confidence were our least common denominator, that we would be so far ahead in this game. Confidence, first of all, in yourself. You recall Socrates said, "Know thyself." And then the Bible says that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And we remember Shakespeare's beautiful play called Hamlet. In it, a guy named Polonius was telling his young son Laertes, as he went out into the world, the following admonition, which is the only guidance I've ever given my own kids. "This above all, to thine own self be true. And it will follow as does the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man." So that's a good beginning about being confident in who you are, what you are, and where you are. I think you need to be confident in God. After all, each of you people in this room are products of God's highest finesse of creativity. No creature on planet Earth has more sophistication, more versatility, more strength, more imagination, more oneness with the Spirit of God than every one of you. Think about it. You are the only one you will never lose or leave. Let's be nice to you, because you're pretty special. God thought so, evidently. I also think that when we're talking about being confident, we need to be confident, or rather confident of our relationship to others. We've all heard the old saying, there's and so much bad in the best of us that it behooves the best of us not to talk about the rest of us. So I appeal to you, be nice to you. You are pretty special. You are one of a kind. You know, you hear people all the time saying, oh, he's very unique, or he's so unique. Either you're unique or you're not. Unique, by definition, means one of a kind. Now, every person in this room is unique, according to the proper definition of the word, which means you are one of a kind. Think about it. No one in the history of mankind on this planet, or anyone born after we are all gone, ever looks, acts, thinks exactly like each one of you, including Mr. District Attorney. We all are so blessed with this uniqueness. Now then, how can you not be confident in yourself? Next, I'd like to talk to you about commitment. Now, the next time you go ask for ham and eggs at the Village Inn or wherever, I would like you to reflect upon the fact that as to the eggs, the chicken was involved. But as to the ham, the pig was committed. Now, I would like you to have that kind of commitment. I don't want to have you served up in a restaurant, but I do want to see you so powerfully aware of your oneness and your special existence in this planet. I think in doing commitment, if we would have achievable goals, we would be so much better off. How many times we set goals that are not achievable, and then we become discouraged and downtrodden and despair because we didn't achieve our goals. Well, you just set goals that were unachievable, that were unrealistic. Now, mind you, I think anything you set is achievable. If you can conceive it, you can reveal it, because God has equipped you with this marvelous, imaginative, creative mind to do just that. In reflecting further about commitment, I think impatience does us in sometimes. You know, you've certainly heard if a mile is a trial, an inch is a cinch. If we would just set achievable goals patiently and be aware that God's delays are not God's denials. Just because it didn't happen yesterday, according to your prayer or your expectations, give God a break. He's been in the business for a long time. Determination, I think, is another part of this that's so important. How often have you heard us say, 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, 4 to go? But then what do? We say 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready. I appeal to you to say 4 to go in what your dream is, what your highest aspiration is. Let's make it happen. To do all this, sometimes we have to release a bunch of junk that is not really an asset to our goal. I heard about a guy who slipped off the precipice of a cliff. And on his way down, he grabbed a vine. And he hung there, desperate, wondering what he would do. So he said, "Help! Is there anybody up there?" And he heard this voice saying, "I am here, my son." "Who is that? Who is that?" "I think you know who it is." "Can you help me? Save me! Save me! Oh God! Save me!" Let go of the vine. Is there anybody else up there? We all need to be willing to let go of the vine that keeps us from surrendering to the power of God that is available to everyone here. Okay, let's talk about those two E's, empathy and enthusiasm. Empathy is dissimilar to sympathy in that sympathy just feels and sympathizes and supports. Empathy participates and acts. It's the difference between worrying about a guy who's out there drowning at the end of the pier and jumping in to save him. You know, in the Navy, we've had aviators that crash into the sea. When that happens, if there's a ship close by, like a destroyer that I used to drive, why we can pick the aviator up that way. But so often the aviators crash a long distance away. So the only way to get him back is to send a rescue helicopter. All of our aircraft carriers have rescue helicopters. So the helicopter flies out to the scene, finds the pilot from the little beeper that's on his ACOG vest. And when he gets there, a swimmer in the helo jumps into the sea and helps the wounded pilot into his ACOG jacket. And then we hoist him up to the helicopter and go back to the bird farm, and everybody's happy. However, sometimes we have found that aviators were so badly wounded in ejecting from the plane or riding it into the sea that they could not participate in the rescue. In those instances, our rescue team jumps into the sea, swims over to the guy, puts him into the noose, we hoist him, and then we hoist the rescue swimmer. Now this is empathy. Aviators who have been rescued this way have told us there was something magic about having a fellow sailor in the sea with me, enduring the same salt spray in his face, enduring the same seawater gulping as he tried to keep his head above water, participating in his grief side by side. And the aviators have told us that that is the key to my survival. That was the key to my rescue. Having a fellow sailor jumping into my situation and participating in my grief. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what empathy is all about. Jumping into the sea alongside this friend you have who has a problem. Let's talk about enthusiasm. And this is number 4 of my points, and the second E. Enthusiasm, as you surely know, comes from the Greek word entheos, which means full of God. So when you see an enthusiastic person like David there, then you know he is full of God. Isn't that exciting to think of entheos in that context? You know, the difference is you get to be a light or you get to be a sour pickle. Don't you know people who have such a radiant personality that when they walk into the room just seems to light up. Everybody just can't wait to be near them. They're like magnets. And don't you know other people who act like they're weaned on a pickle? So what do you want to be, a light bulb or a pickle? Well, the beautiful choice is, the choice is yours. I think if we're going to be optimistic, if we're going to be enthusiastic, we need to fortify that with optimism. Positive, expectant living. Think about what I just said. Expectancy. That means you don't hope something will happen. When you pray, you don't say, well, God, I know you probably won't get around to it. I mean, you pray expectantly, knowing that God will hear you when you come to your significant other. You expect that that lover will hear you and respond to you, do you not? Well, that's what we're talking about. Optimism born of expectancy. Just act as if. You know, the brain is a marvelous tutor to direct the body. And if you act as if the thing you want to happen does happen, has happened, I promise you, the universe will surprise the daylights out of you because